Security, remove this woman from the premises immediately.
Maya's heart stopped. Coffee dripped from his $1,000 suit onto the floor. Her portfolio lay scattered across the marble like evidence of a crime scene. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I have an interview. An interview? You just assaulted me with scalding coffee and you think you're getting an interview? It was an accident. Please, Her voice cracked. This was it. Her last chance, and she destroyed it in 30 seconds. The security guard's hand closed around her arm. But then, the CEO did something unexpected. He held up his hand, stopping the guard mid-step. His eyes locked on Maya's portfolio scattered on the floor. Pages of marketing campaigns, designs, strategies she'd worked on for weeks. "Wait," he said slowly. "Is that your work?" Welcome to VickyTale, where every story carries a lesson that might just change your perspective on life. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because you're about to hear how a woman went from living in her car to being proposed to by a billionaire CEO. And the journey? It's nothing like you'd expect. Maya Rodriguez sat in her Honda Civic, parked in the back corner of a 24-hour gym parking lot, watching the sun rise through her cracked windshield. This was day 47 of her new life. 47 days since she'd lost her apartment. 47 mornings waking up with a stiff neck and the metallic taste of shame in her mouth. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. "Mom, did you get the teaching job? Your brother needs help with tuition." Maya's chest tightened. She couldn't tell her mother the truth. Couldn't admit that she'd been fired from her teaching position 6 months ago when the school district made budget cuts. Couldn't explain that she'd burned through her savings paying for her father's cancer treatments before he died. Couldn't say that she was now living in her car while working 3 gig jobs that barely covered gas money. So, she lied. "Maya, still waiting to hear back. I'll send money soon, promise." She had $83 in her bank account. Rent on her old studio was $1,200 a month, money that now seemed fictional, like something that existed in someone else's life. Maya grabbed her gym bag from the passenger seat. At least she had the gym membership. $29 a month for the ability to shower, use the bathroom, and maintain some shred of human dignity. Inside, she moved quickly through her routine. Shower, change into the one professional outfit she'd managed to keep clean, apply makeup in the mirror, trying to hide the dark circles under her eyes that told the story she refused to speak out loud. Today was important. Today could change everything. She had an interview at Kincaid Corporation, one of the biggest marketing firms in Chicago. The position was for a junior marketing assistant. The pay was decent, enough to get her back on her feet, enough to rent a room somewhere, enough to stop living out of her car like a cautionary tale. Maya stared at her reflection. The woman looking back at her seemed tired, desperate. But she forced a smile, practicing the confidence she'd need to fake. "You've got this," she whispered to herself. "You're Maya Rodriguez. You graduated with honors. You're a damn good marketer. One bad year doesn't define you." But her reflection didn't look convinced. Kincaid Corporation occupied the top 15 floors of a skyscraper in downtown Chicago. Maya stood outside, craning her neck to see the top, her portfolio clutched against her chest. The building was all glass and ambition, reflecting the morning sun back at a city full of people who had their lives together. People who slept in beds. People who had addresses that weren't parking lot coordinates. Maya checked her phone. 9:47 a.m. Her interview was at 10 a.m. She stopped at the coffee cart on the corner, a small luxury she debated but decided was necessary. If she was going to nail this interview, she needed caffeine, needed to be sharp. "Large coffee, black," she told the vendor, handing over precious dollars she couldn't really spare. The cup was hot in her hands as she hurried toward the building entrance. She was cutting it close, too close. But the line at the coffee cart had been longer than expected, and Maya checked her phone again while walking. 9:52 a.m. She could make it. She just needed to... She collided with something solid. The impact sent her back stumbling. Hot coffee exploded from her cup, splashing everywhere, on her blouse, on the marble floor, and all over the man she just crashed into. Maya's portfolio flew from her hands, papers scattering across the lobby like autumn leaves. "Oh my God," she gasped, staring at the coffee stains spreading across the front of a pristine navy suit that probably cost more than her car. "I'm so sorry, I wasn't looking, Clearly," the man's voice was ice. Maya looked up. He was tall, mid-30s, with dark hair and striking blue eyes that were currently filled with fury. His jaw was clenched, his expensive suit ruined, and he was looking at Maya like she was something unpleasant he'd stepped in. "I have an interview," Maya said desperately, dropping to her knees to gather her scattered papers. "I'm so sorry, please, I'll pay for dry cleaning, Security." His voice cut through the lobby. People stopped and stared. "Remove this woman from the premises immediately." Maya's blood ran cold. "No, please, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You weren't watching where you were going, and now I'm wearing your coffee." He gestured at his ruined suit, his expression dark. "And you expect me to what? Accept your apology and move on?" "I have an interview," Maya repeated, her voice breaking. "Please, I need this job. I'll do anything. I'll pay for the suit. An interview?" He looked at her like she had lost her mind. "You just assaulted me with scalding coffee, destroyed a $3,000 suit, and you think you're getting an interview?" $3,000. Maya's stomach dropped. That was more than she'd made in the last 2 months combined. The security guard appeared at her side, his hand closing around her arm. "Come on, miss. Time to go." This was it. Her last chance evaporating like the steam from the spilled coffee. But then something shifted. The CEO, because of course he was the CEO, because Maya's luck was exactly that bad, looked down at the papers scattered around her feet. His expression changed from fury to something else. Curiosity, maybe. "Wait," he said, holding up a hand to stop the security guard. He bent down, picking up one of the pages from Maya's portfolio. It was a marketing campaign she designed, a complete rebrand strategy for a struggling local bookstore. She'd done it for free, just to keep her skills sharp while job hunting. "Is this your work?" he asked, his tone still cold but less hostile. Maya swallowed hard. "Yes, sir." He picked up another page, then another. His eyes scanned the designs, the strategies, the market analysis she'd poured her heart into during late nights in her car, working by dome light. The lobby was silent except for the sound of papers rustling. Finally, he looked up at her. "You're for the 10 a.m. interview?" "Yes," Maya whispered. "Maya Rodriguez, marketing assistant position." He stared at her for a long moment. Then, inexplicably, his mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile, but wasn't quite a frown either. "You have terrible timing," he said. "I know. And apparently no spatial awareness. I was distracted." Distracted people are liabilities in business. Maya lifted her chin, finding some shred of courage she didn't know she still had. Distracted people are human, and humans make mistakes, but they also create campaigns like the ones you're holding. Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or amusement at her audacity. "Follow me," he said, turning toward the elevators. The security guard released Maya's arm, looking confused. "Sir?" the guard asked. "Should I?" "She's with me." The CEO walked away without looking back, leaving Maya standing in a puddle of coffee with her heart hammering. She scrambled to gather her papers, stuffing them haphazardly back into her portfolio, and hurried after him. The elevator ride to the 40th floor was the longest minute of Maya's life. She stood in the corner, very aware of the coffee stains on her only professional blouse, very aware of the man standing 3 feet away whose suits she'd ruined, very aware that this was either the best or worst thing that had ever happened to her. "I really am sorry about your suit," she said quietly. "You already apologized." "I know, but stop apologizing. It's unbecoming." He didn't look at her, just stared straight ahead at the elevator doors. "You're a marketer. Act like one. Confidence matters more than perfection." Maya blinked. Was that advice or criticism? The elevator doors opened onto a floor that looked like it belonged in a different universe. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of Chicago. Modern art hung on pristine white walls. Everything was glass and steel and success. "Conference room," he said, gesturing down the hallway. "Wait there." Then he disappeared into what was presumably his office, leaving Maya standing alone in a hallway that probably cost more than her entire education. She found the conference room and sat down in a leather chair that was more comfortable than any bed she'd slept in recently. Through the windows, she could see the entire city spread out below her, a view that made her feel impossibly small and somehow, inexplicably, full of hope. 10 minutes later, the CEO returned wearing a fresh suit, his hair slightly damp like he'd quickly cleaned up. He sat down across from her, opened her portfolio, and spread her work across the conference table. "I'm Blake Kincaid," he said. "I own this company." Of course he did. "Tell me about this bookstore campaign," he said, tapping one of her designs. Maya took a deep breath, pushing past her nerves. The bookmark corner was losing money to online retailers. Traditional marketing wasn't working because they were competing on price, which they'd always lose. So I repositioned them. How? Experience over product. I branded them as a community space, not just a store. Added author events, writing workshops, coffee bar, local art displays. Made people want to be there, not just buy there. She pointed at another page. Social media strategy focused on storytelling, featuring customers reading their favorite books, kids at story time, book club photos. Within 6 months, foot traffic increased 42%. Blake studied her work in silence. "And they paid you how much for this?" "They didn't. I did it for free." His eyes snapped up to hers. "Why?" Maya hesitated. This was the moment where she could lie, could make herself sound noble or strategic, but something about his directness made her match it. "Because I needed portfolio pieces after I lost my teaching job. And because the owner, Mrs. Chen, gave me free coffee when I couldn't afford to buy any. So I helped her because she helped me." The honesty hung in the air between them. Blake leaned back in his chair, steadying her with an intensity that made Maya want to look away. But she held his gaze. "You're talented," he said finally. "Thank you. You're also desperate." "Excuse me?" "I can see it. The way you're sitting, the coffee stain you tried to hide with your portfolio, the fact that you're wearing the same outfit from your application photo, which means you probably don't have many professional clothes." He wasn't cruel in his assessment, just clinical. Desperate people make mistakes, like spilling coffee on potential employers. Maya's hands clenched in her lap. Desperate people also work harder than anyone else because they have everything to lose. Or they become liabilities, security risks, people who might cut corners or compromise ethics when pressured. "Is this still an interview, or are you just trying to humiliate me?" Blake's expression didn't change. "I'm trying to understand who I'd be hiring." "You'd be hiring someone who knows what it's like to fight for every opportunity, someone who doesn't take anything for granted, someone who will outwork, outthink, and outcreate everyone else in this building because she has to. Maya leaned forward. You want perfect employees who've never struggled? Fine, hire someone else. But you want someone who understands what it means to make every dollar of your marketing budget count. Someone who can connect with real people because she is one? Then you hire me. Silence filled the conference room. Then Blake smiled. Actually smiled. It transformed his entire face, made him look younger, less intimidating. You're absolutely right, he said. Maya blinked. I am? And I can't hire you. Her heart plummeted. What? Blake stood, walking to the windows. Company policy. You physically assaulted an executive. It was an accident. And caused property damage. Security incident reports have already been filed. HR will never approve your hire. I'd be overruling their authority, which would set a terrible precedent. He turned back to face her. I'm sorry, Miss Rodriguez. You're talented, but my hands are tied. Maya felt the room spinning. She'd been so close, so impossibly close. I understand, she managed to say, though she didn't understand how the universe could be this cruel. Thank you for your time. She gathered her portfolio with shaking hands and walked toward the door. Miss Rodriguez? She turned back. Blake was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Where are you staying? The question caught her off guard. Why? Just curious. Pride warred with desperation in Maya's chest. Pride won, barely. That's personal. Fair enough. He nodded once. Good luck with your job search. Maya left Kincaid Corporation feeling like she'd been hollowed out and filled with concrete. Heavy, empty, impossibly tired. She walked back to the gym parking lot where her car waited, climbed inside, locked the doors, and finally, let herself cry. 3 days later, Maya's phone rang with an unknown number. She was parked outside a grocery store, having just finished a 3-hour shift doing grocery delivery through a gig app. $15 earned, $12 after gas. She stared at the phone, debating whether to answer. Hello? Miss Rodriguez? A woman's voice, professional and crisp. This is Jennifer Park, HR Director at Kincaid Corporation. Maya's stomach twisted. Were they calling to officially ban her from the building? Sent her a bill for the suit? Yes, this is Maya. I'm calling to offer you a position. Maya she'd heard wrong. I'm sorry, what? We have a 6-month contract position available. Independent contractor, not employee, marketing consultant. The pay is $90,000 annually, prorated for 6 months. Are you interested? $90,000. That was, Maya did the quick math, $45,000 for 6 months. That was more money than she'd made in the entire previous year. I don't understand, Maya said slowly. Mr. Kincaid said he couldn't hire me because of company policy. This isn't a hire, it's a contract, different rules. Jennifer's tone was neutral, giving nothing away. The position starts Monday if you accept. You'll be working directly with Mr. Kincaid on the Westfield account, our largest client. It's a trial basis. If you perform well, we can discuss a permanent position after the contract ends. This was impossible. Absurd. 3 days ago, Blake Kincaid had told me he couldn't hire me. Now he's offering me a contract position with a salary that would literally change my life? Why? Maya asked. I'm sorry? Why is he doing this? There was a pause. Mr. Kincaid doesn't explain his decisions to HR, Ms. Rodriguez. He makes them, and we execute. Are you accepting the position or not? Maya thought about her car, the gym parking lot, the $83 in her bank account, her brother's tuition, her mother's worry. The 47 mornings waking up with a stiff neck and a heart full of shame. "Yes," she said. "I accept." "Excellent. I'm emailing you the contract and new hire paperwork. We'll need everything completed by Friday." Monday morning, Maya arrived at Kincaid Corporation at 8:30 a.m. sharp. She'd used some of her last dollars to buy a new blouse from a thrift store. It wasn't perfect, but it was clean and professional and coffee stain-free. She'd showered at the gym, done her makeup carefully, and practiced her confident smile in the rearview mirror. Jennifer met her in the lobby. "Ms. Rodriguez, welcome. Let me show you to your office." Office. Maya had an office. They took the elevator to the 40th floor, and Jennifer led her down a hallway to a small but beautiful space with a window view, a real desk, and a door that closed. "Mr. Kincaid will brief you on the Westfield account at 9, Jennifer said. "Computer login credentials are on your desk. Building access card here. Any questions?" About 1,000, but Maya just shook her head. "No, thank you." When Jennifer left, Maya stood alone in her office, and trying not to cry. She had a desk, a computer, a window, a salary, a chance. For the first time in 47 days, she felt like a real person again. At exactly 9 a.m., Blake Kincaid appeared in her doorway. "Ms. Rodriguez, welcome to Kincaid Corporation." "Mr. Kincaid?" Maya stood, suddenly nervous. "Thank you for this opportunity. I won't let you down." "I know you won't." He stepped into her office, closing the door behind him. "Let's be clear about something. I didn't hire you because I felt sorry for you. I hired you because you're talented, and I need talent. The Westfield Corporation is our biggest account, a retail chain with 200 stores nationwide. Their brand is dying. Sales are down 30% year over year. They've given us 6 months to turn it around, or they walk. And if they walk, I lose $12 million in annual revenue." The weight of that number settled over Maya. "No pressure," she said, weakly. "Enormous pressure. But I've read your work. I've seen how you think. And I believe you can help save this account." He pulled out a chair and sat down. "So here's the deal. You have complete creative freedom. I want fresh ideas, bold strategies, campaigns that make people feel something. Show me what you can do, Ms. Rodriguez." "I will." "Good. Because here's what you need to know. There are 23 full-time marketing staff in this building. None of them are working on Westfield. You are. Let that sink in. They're going to resent you. They're going to question why an unknown contractor got the biggest account. They're going to wait for you to fail." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I believe in transparency, and because I need you to understand what you're walking into." Blake stood. "Prove them wrong, Maya. Prove me right." He left her office, and Maya sat down heavily in her chair, staring at the computer screen. Prove them wrong. Prove him right. No pressure. The first week was brutal. Maya threw herself into researching Westfield Corporation. She studied their financials, their marketing history, their customer demographics. She visited their stores, talked to employees, watched shoppers, took notes. And she quickly saw the problem. Westfield was trying to be everything to everyone. Their brand had no identity. Their stores looked identical to every other mid-tiered retailer. Their marketing was generic and forgettable. They weren't bad. They were just boring. In a world where people had infinite options, boring was death. Maya worked late every night, staying in the office until security had to remind her the building was closing. She sketched campaigns, drafted strategies, built presentations. And she slept in her car every night, too tired to care about the discomfort anymore. She'd found a new parking spot behind a different 24-hour gym closer to the office. $29 more a month she couldn't really afford, but the shorter commute was worth it. One night, she was working alone in her office at 11 p.m. when a knock on her door made her jump. Blake Kincaid stood in the doorway, still wearing his suit from earlier, looking tired but alert. "You're still here?" he said. "So are you," Maya replied. "I own the building. What's your excuse?" Maya hesitated, then shrugged. "Trying to prove you right." Blake walked into her office, looking at the papers and sketches scattered across her desk. "Show me what you have so far." For the next hour, Maya walked him through her preliminary ideas: a complete rebrand, a new store experience, a marketing campaign focused on personal style rather than generic fashion, a loyalty program that actually made customers feel valued. Blake listened in silence, occasionally asking sharp questions that made Maya think harder, push further. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "This is remarkable," he said finally. Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. "Really? Really? You're completely changing their entire business model, which is exactly what they need." He looked at her. "When's the last time you ate?" The question caught her off guard. "I had lunch." "That's not what I asked." Maya looked away. "I'm fine. The vending machine on this floor has your favorite snacks: granola bars, trail mix, those terrible cheese crackers. You've been watching what I eat?" "I notice things. It's kind of my job." Blake moved toward the door, then paused. "There's a Chinese restaurant that delivers 24/7. Best lo mein in Chicago. I'm ordering some. I'll have them send extra to your office." "You don't have to?" "I know I don't have to, but you're working on my biggest account at midnight, and I'd prefer you don't pass out from hunger." He said it matter-of-factly, like it was a business decision rather than kindness. "Eat the food, Rodriguez. It's not charity. It's an investment in my Westfield campaign." He left before Maya could argue. 30 minutes later, a delivery person appeared with enough Chinese food to feed 4 people. Maya ate alone in her office, wondering why Blake Kincaid kept viewing things that made absolutely no sense. Hit that comment section right now and tell me, have you ever had someone help you without you asking when you needed it most? Drop your story below. 2 months into her contract, Maya had transformed the Westfield campaign. She'd presented her rebrand strategy to their executive team. They'd loved it, approved the full budget, greenlit everything she proposed. Blake had stood in the back of that conference room, watching her present with the confidence of someone who finally believed in herself again. When it was over, he'd caught her eye and nodded once. Simple, but it meant everything. The campaign was launching in 3 weeks, and Maya was working 16-hour days to make sure every detail was perfect. She'd also saved up enough money to look at apartments. Real apartments with real beds and real addresses. She'd gone to 3 viewings, filled out applications, and was waiting to hear back. For the first time in months, Maya could see a future that didn't involve waking up in a parking lot. But she was exhausted, the kind of bone-deep tired that came from months of survival mode, even when survival was finally working. One Thursday evening, Maya was working late again when her vision started blurring. She blinked hard, trying to focus on her computer screen, but the numbers wouldn't stay still. When was the last time she'd slept more than 4 hours? She couldn't remember. She stood up to get water from the break room and the floor tilted sideways. Maya grabbed her desk, trying to steady herself, but her legs weren't cooperating. The room spun. Her vision tunneled. And then everything went black. Maya woke up on the floor of her office with Blake Kincaid kneeling beside her, his hand on her shoulder, his face tight with concern. "Don't move," he said firmly. "I've called 911. "What? No!" Maya tried to sit up, panic flooding through her. "I'm fine. You passed out. That's not fine." His voice was sharp, controlled. "How long has it been since you ate a real meal?" "I eat granola bars and vending machine food don't count. When's the last time you slept through the night?" Maya looked away, unable to meet his eyes. "Maya." Blake's voice softened. "Talk to me." "I'm fine," she repeated, but her voice broke. "I just need a minute." The paramedics arrived 10 minutes later. They checked her vitals, asked questions, determined she was severely dehydrated and exhausted, but not in immediate danger. "You need rest, real rest, and better nutrition. Keep this up, and next time it'll be worse." After they left, Blake helped Maya back into her chair. He didn't say anything for a long moment, just looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. "I'm driving you home," he said finally. Maya's stomach dropped. "That's not necessary." It wasn't a request. Blake grabbed his jacket. "Let's go." "I have my car. We'll get it tomorrow. Come on." Maya had no choice. She was too weak to argue, too tired to think of a convincing lie. She gathered her things and followed Blake to the elevator, her mind racing through possible solutions. She could give him a fake address, tell him to drop her at a friend's place, make up an excuse to get out of the car before he discovered the truth. But Blake was quiet during the elevator ride, his jaw tight, and Maya got the sense he already knew. Somehow, he'd figured it out. They walked to the parking garage in silence. Blake's car was exactly what she expected. Sleek, black, expensive. He opened the passenger door for her, and Maya slid inside, feeling like she was walking toward an execution. Blake got in, started the engine, then turned to her. "Where do you live, Maya?" She swallowed hard. "You can just drop me at—" "The truth," Blake interrupted. "Where do you live?" Maya stared at her hands. She could feel tears building behind her eyes, shame burning in her chest. "Maya." His voice was gentle now. "Please." "I don't," she whispered. Silence filled the car. "You don't what?" Blake asked quietly. "I don't live anywhere." "Not really." The words came out in a rush, like a confession she'd been holding for too long. "I lost my apartment 6 months ago. I've been living in my car. I shower at the gym. I park in different lots so security doesn't notice. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but I needed this job, and I was afraid if you knew—" "Stop." Blake's voice was firm, but not angry. "Just stop." Maya risked a glance at him. His expression was unreadable.
"Show me," he said. "Show you what?" "Your car. Where you've been sleeping." "Blake, you don't need to show me." Maya gave him directions to the gym parking lot. They drove in silence, and with every block, Maya felt smaller, more exposed, more ashamed. When they pulled up next to her Honda Civic, Blake stared at it for a long moment. The back seat was crammed with her belongings, clothes and garbage bags, a pillow, blankets. The front passenger seat held boxes of granola bars and crackers, a gym bag. Her entire life compressed into a space that was never meant to be lived in. How long? Blake's voice was rough. 73 days, Maya said quietly. Before I started working for you. Blake got out of the car without a word. Maya watched through the windshield as he walked over to her Civic and looked through the windows, seeing everything she'd tried so hard to hide. When he came back, his expression was different. Harder, angrier, but not at her. Get in. Blake, get in the car, Maya, now. She did. Blake drove in silence for 20 minutes, heading away from downtown toward the suburbs. Maya didn't ask where they were going, didn't have the energy to care anymore. Finally, they pulled up to a modern apartment building in a nice neighborhood. Blake parked in the underground garage and killed the engine. "This is one of my properties," he said. "I have a vacant unit on the 4th floor. 2-bedroom, fully furnished. You're staying here." Maya's head snapped toward him. "What? No, I can't." "You can, and you will." Blake's voice left no room for argument. "You're not sleeping in your car another night. Not on my watch." "I can't afford." "It's free. Consider it part of your compensation package." "Blake, that's not." "Maya." He turned to face her fully, his blue eyes intense. "Listen to me very carefully. You are the most talented marketer I've worked with in 10 years. You've saved my biggest account. You've exceeded every expectation I had. And you did all of that while living in your car." His voice softened. "Imagine what you could do with a good night's sleep and a real bed." Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks before she could stop them. "I can't accept charity," she whispered. "It's not charity. It's a business investment." Reach over, gently wiping a tear from her cheek with his thumb. The gesture was so tender, it made Maya's breath catch. "Besides, the unit's been sitting empty for months. You'd actually be doing me a favor. HOA gets cranky about unoccupied units." Maya let out a watery laugh. "That's a terrible lie." "I know, but I'm CEO. I'm allowed terrible lies." Blake's mouth corked into a small smile. "Come on, let me show you the apartment." The apartment was beautiful. Hardwood floors, modern kitchen, big windows that let in natural light, furniture that looked like it belonged in a magazine. A real bed with actual pillows and blankets that weren't sleeping bags. Maya stood in the middle of the living room, trying not to cry again. "The lease is yours for as long as you need it," Blake said, handing her a set of keys. "No strings attached, no expectations. Just a place to live while you get back on your feet." "Why are you doing this?" Maya asked, her voice shaking. Blake was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. "Do you know why I created that contract position for you?" Maya shook her head. "Because when I looked at your portfolio scattered on the lobby floor, I saw myself 10 years ago, fresh out of business school, brilliant ideas, no connections, no opportunities. Everyone told me I'd never make it without family money or the right last name." He moved to the window, looking out at the city. "Someone gave me a chance when no one else would. A mentor who saw potential instead of circumstances. He's the reason I have everything I have now." "And you're paying it forward," Maya said softly. "Something like that." Blake turned back to her. "But I need you to understand something. This apartment isn't about pity. It's about pragmatism. You're brilliant, Maya, but you can't keep running on empty. I need you sharp. I need you healthy. And selfishly, I need you to stick around after this contract ends." Maya's heart skipped. "What?"
Your contract ends in 4 months. I want to offer you a permanent position, Senior Marketing Director. Full benefits, competitive salary, your own team. Blake's eyes locked on hers. But I need to know you're in a place where you can actually accept it. Mentally, physically, emotionally. So consider this apartment an early signing bonus. Maya couldn't speak, couldn't process what he was offering. A permanent position, senior director, her own team? 4 months ago, she'd been living in her car, working gig jobs, wondering if she'd ever use her degree again. Now she had an apartment, a career, a future. I don't know what to say, she finally managed. Say yes, Blake said simply. Say yes to the apartment. Say yes to taking care of yourself. And when you're ready, say yes to the job offer. Yes, Maya whispered. Then louder, yes, to all of it. Blake smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his entire face. Good. Now there's a grocery store 2 blocks away. Go stock your fridge, get some real food, take tomorrow off and sleep for 12 hours. Doctor's orders. You're not a doctor. I'm your boss. Close enough. Blake headed for the door, then paused. And Maya? Thank you. For what? For trusting me with the truth. I know that wasn't easy. After he left, Maya stood alone in her new apartment, trying to process everything that had just happened. She had a home, a real home. She walked into the bedroom, sat on the edge of the actual bed, and buried her face in her hands. For the first time in 73 days, Maya cried tears of relief instead of despair. The next 3 months changed everything. Maya thrived. With a stable place to live, regular meals, and actual sleep, her work reached new levels. The Westville campaign launched to massive success. Sales up 47% in the first month, social media engagement through the roof, customers flooding their rebranded stores. Blake had been right. She'd been brilliant before, but now, well-rested and healthy, she was unstoppable. The permanent position was officially offered. Maya accepted. Her salary tripled. She got her own office, her own team of 5 talented marketers, and the level of respect in the company she'd never imagined possible. But something else was happening too, something she hadn't planned for. She was falling for Blake Kincaid. It started small, the way he'd check in on her after long days, asking if she'd eaten. The coffee that appeared on her desk every morning, exactly how she liked it. The inside jokes that developed during late-night strategy sessions. Then came the bigger things. The way he looked at her during presentations, pride evident in his eyes. The way he defended her ideas in executive meetings, even when others pushed back. The way he seemed to light up when she walked into a room. Maya tried to ignore it, tried to tell herself it was just professional respect, gratitude for the second chance he'd given her. But then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday evening. Most of the office had cleared out, but Maya and Blake were working late, finalizing a pitch for a new client. They were in his office, papers spread across his desk, laptops open, energy drinks scattered around them. This section needs to be stronger, Blake said, pointing at her screen. We're telling them what they want to hear. We should tell them what they need to hear. That's risky, Maya countered. We could lose the account before we even get it. Or we could earn their respect by being honest. Blake leaned back in his chair. Safe doesn't win anymore. Bold wins. Maya smiled. You sound like me from 3 months ago. I learned from the best. Blake's eyes held hers for a beat too long.
The air in the office shifted, became charged with something neither of them was saying. Blake, Maya said quietly, we should... I know. He stood abruptly, walking to the window. We should maintain professional boundaries. Keep things appropriate, not blur lines that shouldn't be blurred. Exactly. But I'm terrible at following rules that don't make sense. Blake turned to face her, and the look in his eyes made Maya's breath catch.
and pretending I don't have feelings for you, that doesn't make sense anymore. Maya's heart hammered. Blake, I work for you. This is complicated, I know. But I can't keep pretending. I think about you constantly, wonder what you're thinking, look forward to seeing you every morning, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. It doesn't matter what I feel, Maya said, even though her resistance was crumbling. You're my boss. There's a power dynamic. It's not appropriate. You're right, it's not. So here's what I'm proposing. I'll step back from directly supervising you. You'll report to Jennifer instead. That eliminates the power dynamic, makes this less complicated. Less complicated isn't the same as not complicated. I know. But Maya, his voice dropped lower. I haven't felt this way about anyone in years, maybe ever. And I don't want to lose it because of corporate structure. Maya stood, closing the distance between them. Her professional side screamed at her to stop, to walk away, to protect herself. But her heart was louder. If we do this, she said quietly, we do it right, slow, careful. We don't let it affect our work. And if it doesn't work out, we handle it like adults. Agreed. And you can't give me special treatment. No favoritism, no easier assignments. Wouldn't dream of it. And we keep it private, at least at first, until we know it's real. Blake smiled. Anything else? Yeah. Maya looked up at him, her heart racing. Kiss me before I change my mind. Blake didn't need to be told twice. His hand cupped her face as he kissed her, gentle at first, then deeper. Maya's hands gripped his shirt, pulling him closer, and it felt like everything she'd been holding back for months was finally breaking free. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Blake rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that for so long, he murmured. How long? Since the day you spilled coffee on me and then had the audacity to defend your portfolio while security tried to drag you out. He laughed softly. You were fierce and desperate and brilliant, and I knew right then you were going to change my life. I almost ruined your suit. Best $3,000 I ever lost. Maya laughed, then kissed him again, softer this time. So what now? Now we take it slow, Blake said. Like you said, dinner tomorrow night? It's a date. And Maya, Blake's expression turned serious. Thank you for giving me a chance. I know trusting people hasn't been easy for you lately. You've earned it, Maya said honestly. You saw me when I was invisible, helped me when you didn't have to, believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. That's not something I take lightly. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. The next 6 months were a dream Maya never expected to live. She and Blake dated carefully, privately, letting their relationship develop naturally. Dinners that turned into late-night conversations, weekend hikes where they talked about everything except work, movie nights in her apartment where they'd fall asleep on the couch, comfortable in each other's presence. At work, Maya continued to excel. Her team landed 3 major accounts. Blake restructured the reporting lines as promised. Maya now reported to Jennifer, eliminating any appearance of favoritism. The office started noticing they were close, but didn't seem to suspect romance. They thought it was just mutual professional respect, which is exactly what Blake and Maya wanted. Until the night, Blake showed up at her apartment looking nervous in a way she'd never seen before. We need to talk. Maya's stomach dropped. Those were never good words. Okay. Blake paced her living room, running his hands through his hair. I have a problem, a big one. What's wrong? My grandmother. Blake stopped pacing. She owns 40% of Kincaid Corporation, family shares from when my grandfather founded the company, and she's threatening to sell them to Donovan Pierce. Maya sucked in a breath. Donovan Pierce was Blake's biggest competitor, a ruthless corporate raider who'd been trying to acquire Kincaid Corporation for years. Why would she do that? Because she's 87 years old and thinks I'm wasting my life. She wants me married, settled, producing great grandchildren. Blake's expression was pained. She says if I'm not engaged by my 35th birthday, she's selling her shares. And my birthday is in 3 weeks.
Blake, that's insane, I know, but she's serious. My lawyer confirmed it's legally binding. She had the board draw up documents. If I'm not engaged in 3 weeks, Pierce gets 40% of my company and I lose controlling interest. Maya sat down heavily. What are you going to do? Blake crossed the room and dropped to one knee in front of her. Maya's breath caught. Blake, what are you? He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a ring. Simple, elegant, beautiful. A single diamond that caught the light. He said, "Marry me," his voice rough with emotion. For real, not as a business deal, not a strategy. Marry me because I love you, Maya. Because I've loved you since the day you crashed into me and refused to let anyone tell you that you didn't belong. Because you make me laugh and challenge me and see me as more than just a CEO. Because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. Blake, he continued quickly. I know the timing is terrible. I know it looks like I'm only doing this because of my grandmother's ultimatum, but I've had this ring for 2 weeks. I was planning to propose next month, take you somewhere romantic, do this properly. But then this happened with my grandmother and I realized, why wait? Life is too short. And yes, proposing now solves a business problem, but that's not why I'm doing it. His eyes were intense, desperate for her to believe him. I'm doing it because I want to spend my life with you. The business is just a bonus. Maya's mind raced. 6 months ago, she'd been living in her car. Now the man she loved was proposing marriage, and she couldn't tell if it was love or desperation or both. How do I know this is real? How do I know you're not just saying this because you're about to lose everything? Blake's face fell. Maya. The timing, Blake, it's too convenient. Your grandmother gives you an ultimatum, and suddenly you have a ring you've been carrying for 2 weeks? How do I know you're telling the truth? Because I've never lied to you. Not when I found out you were living in your car, not when I gave you the apartment, not when I offered you the promotion. I've always been honest with you, even when the truth was uncomfortable. Why would I start lying now? Because 40% of your company is at stake. You're right, it is. And if you say no, I'll lose it. Pierce will force me out, destroy everything I've built, fire everyone I care about, including you. So yes, I'm desperate. Yes, the timing is awful, but Maya, look at me. She did. His blue eyes were filled with something raw and real. I love you, he said simply. Business or no business, ultimatum or no ultimatum, I love you. And I want to marry you. But only if you want it too. Only if you believe me. Maya's heart was breaking and soaring at the same time. She believed him. God help her, she did. She could see it in his eyes, hear it in his voice. This wasn't strategy, this was real. But the timing, the pressure, the stakes. If I say yes, she said slowly, everyone will think I'm a gold digger. They'll say I trapped you, that I took advantage of your situation. Let them talk. I don't care what people think. Your grandmother will think you're only doing this to keep her shares. Then we'll prove her wrong. We'll show her this is real. Blake squeezed her hands. Maya, I know this is fast. I know it's complicated, but I also know what I feel. And I'm asking you to trust that. Trust me. Trust us. Maya looked down at the ring. It was beautiful, simple, not ostentatious or flashy, just elegant. The kind of ring someone bought when they were thinking about the person wearing it, not showing off. Do you really love me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. More than I thought I could love anyone. And you'd propose even if there was no ultimatum? I'd already planned to. I was just waiting for the right moment. Turns out, life doesn't care about perfect timing. Maya laughed through her tears. No, it really doesn't. So? Blake's voice was hopeful, nervous. Will you marry me, Maya Rodriguez? Not to save my company, not to satisfy my grandmother,
but because you love me and want to build a life together. Maya looked at the man kneeling in front of her, the man who'd seen her at her lowest and lifted her up, who'd given her opportunities when she had none, who'd helped her find herself again when she'd been lost. The man she'd fallen completely, irrevocably in love with. "Yes," she said, fresh tears streaming down her face. "Yes, I'll marry you." Blake let out a breath he'd been holding and slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Then he stood, pulling her into his arms and kissing her with a desperation that made her dizzy. When they broke apart, Maya laughed. "Your grandmother is going to think this is so suspicious." Probably, but we have 3 weeks to convince her it's real." "It is real," Maya said firmly. "That's what we'll show her. Not a performance, just us. Being us." "I can work with that." Blake kissed her again, softer this time. "I love you, Maya." "I love you too." Maya looked down at her ring, then back up at him. "But Blake, if this blows up in our faces, if people don't believe us, if your grandmother sees through it, if we lose everything, we face it together. Deal?" "Deal." Blake pulled her close. "Besides, I didn't fall in love with you for what you could do for my company. I fell in love with you for who you are. Everything else is just details." Maya hoped he was right, but deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that the next 3 weeks were going to test everything they'd built together, and either their love would survive the scrutiny or it would crumble under the weight of everyone's doubts. If this story has you on the edge of your seat, I need you to do something right now. Smash that like button, drop a comment telling me what you think Maya should do next, and subscribe because the finale is coming, and you won't believe how this fake engagement turned something real. Your support keeps these stories alive. Every like, every comment, every share.